Hi Abhiram, how are you?
Hey, hi Swapna, how are you? All well here. Thank you so much.
Yes, wonderful. So so glad that you were able to accommodate for the more advanced and the busy topic that's aligned in the world right now, right? I'm so excited to learn more about how you have been dealing with a lot of AI strategies. I see that in your website, right? So exciting. So let's start with this. So I did go through the website, right, Abhiram? I was really truly inspired. I know, like with my career, that's like day to day things that I keep doing in terms of the AI custom model approach, right?
Hmm.
Now, having said that, for a business person like you, having to really arrive at the custom model solutions and also trying to automate certain processes for different clients depending on the background domain they come from, right?
Hmm.
I see that you had your own funnel or strategy in order to have the workshops, like, having to understand so much aspect of it. So lots to cover,
Hmm.
lots to learn about it. Maybe like we'll start with the baseline, right? Tell me about it. Like, how did you actually start with your AI solution consulting stream idea?
Right.
What did you start with? I know you had your own different career, and how did you actually figure this out?
So it was not a single man journey, right? So this is something which I did it with my friend. That's first point number one. Point number two is he was the. I mean, I was as good as a founder because I came in just a little bit later, which was 3 months later. Yeah, but both of us, I think, put together a lot of things. I brought in the business angle. I brought in the leadership angle. I did my master's in IIT Madras, which essentially meant that I could understand technology as well. I had done digital transformation projects in the past. He was completely hands-on in terms of technology. He was completely hands-on in terms of bringing in the delivery process, bringing in the aspect of, uh, I would say, given a problem, finding the right kind of solution and aspects like that. So this was the combination I think we worked on. We had complementary skills. I brought in a lot of discipline when it came to customer relationship, when it came to discovery of problems from the customer's angle.
Got
And our pitch was pretty straightforward for anybody whom we met who was a business founder. We would tell them, look, give us a problem. We will figure out what data is there associated with that problem, and we will look at it from an AI and an automation angle, never from a management angle. That was our promise.
got it. Okay.
So that was the, I think, probably that kicked off with a lot of people, I guess.
Okay, so it was like I think the true source of AI domain is like probably you had a good charming partner who can actually help you with the technology stack, and it was like a very good recipe, right? You have this customer discovery method versus in alignment to the technology. I think the whole end-to-end process actually worked out well, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but in the discovery phase, actually, it was quite a, I would say, a chicken and egg story, right? We would go and ask them initially, okay, tell us your problem. And we're like, what problem? And we're like, okay, fine. Let's figure out some aspects related to your business. Tell me something related to your top line. Tell me something related to your bottom line. Tell me
Okay.
something related to your people. And that's how we had to kind of dig in a lot more, explore with the founder, and then identify certain areas where we would say, okay, this is where probably automation, AI, or something relevant will probably fit in, and how we can
Mhm.
solve this from a data angle.
Got it.
Yeah.
And if I may ask, like, I'm pretty sure, like, I went through the domain that you have dealt with, right? Um,
Mhm.
like, can you help me understand? I know, like, you just clearly mentioned you offer the solutions depending on the process that you would like to automate, and you conduct workshops, like I said initially, based on the data that you would like to capture from them, right?
Yeah.
In order to identify where are the gaps, right?
Right.
Um, so explain me about some of the top business needs that you actually surface based on this approach. And
Right.
yeah, it,
Actually, more than a few. Maybe one of the most exciting things we did was in the semiconductor manufacturing space, right, or the electronics manufacturing space. That was one very exciting problem we tried to solve. That was a pure automation. So what happened was we decided to go and conduct a workshop with one company which was into electronics manufacturing and testing of designs.
Mm-hmm.
We said, look, we are pure play AI. You're the leaders when it comes to testing. You're the global leaders. Let's look at how we can combine things. And we all we did was we said we'll conduct a 3 hour workshop, but we necessarily want all your business leaders to be present. So it was an educational workshop, and we had to pose questions where we would evict responses or we would provoke responses from the business leaders as to what is it that they think they can solve with AI. Uh,
Correct.
because they're not used to AI, they're not used to the technology. It was very new in about, I think we started off in 2018, 2018, 19. It was brand new. People did not understand the technology. They didn't know how to apply it. Even now, I think there's several areas where it is just at the edge of business. I don't think AI has penetrated into many functions of the business at all.
Exactly.
Mm. So during the workshop, when we did this, there used to be many problems that used to come out to the surface. Sometimes even the management would be surprised. I have so many problems in my business, yeah, and then we would like, I'm not saying this, right? So we would get those problems, and one of the important problems was something called as a netlist comparison, right? So netlist is something that gets generated out of a design whenever you make the hardware design. And that net list, what happens is there are about anywhere between 10,000 to 20,000 lines, which needs to be compared with the specifications that is given by the consumer, their end consumer who wants a product, finished product. And it has to be measured against standards as well. So this comparison activity used to be line by line, cell by cell, where one person, a hardware engineer, would sit down and do it for over a week.
Got it. Okay.
So we said, look, I think this can definitely be automated. It's just a matter of putting in the right algorithm. We built a custom algorithm based on, I think, regular expressions. It was a custom algorithm, and then we built a front end. We said, upload an Excel sheet, tell us which standard, and we will do the comparison and throw it out to you. This took us about 3 months odd, but they were able to probably do this entire comparison of more than 40, 50,000 lines in a matter of probably 3, 4 minutes.
Okay.
And that kind of excited them. We said, this is amazing. And we had to deploy it on the cloud and all these things. That was an exciting, this one. Yeah.
Right, right. So, as you just actually speak about this, Abhiram, like, I can recollect in terms of the fact that you mentioned primarily you started or met them during 2018 or 19, right? And that's when 2020 we saw the COVID-19 era, right? And I could imagine business leaders having to see this as like literally digital disruption having to play out. And
Uh,
uh, I'm
yeah.
pretty sure they were not aware about the immediate impact that AI or ML can actually bring in incrementally, right?
No,
And
absolutely.
yeah, and the automation, the optimization are one of the most popular use cases of AI ML models. I think that's where you have exactly tapped the market, right, at the right
Absolutely.
time. And there has been many survey around it, right? If you look at major survey, major organizations are aiming to achieve this automation of repeated tasks. I think that's exactly you're actually covering in terms of the use
Yeah,
case,
absolutely. In
right?
fact, that reminds me. We did this for one of the Tata Group companies. Just because of COVID, they said. So initially, before COVID, what used to happen was in 2019, they would send out their customers to identify uh, this one signal strength on top of a roof with the base station. That is what they used to do as a physical visit, a field visit. And this used to cost them somewhere roughly about $6 to $6.5 million a year. Okay,
Wow.
because each visit used to take that kind of money and things like that. COVID hit, they
Yeah.
couldn't shut down, they couldn't shut shop, and they said, "We have to do something. I don't care. Figure out something." And they threw the problem at us. It was an existing customer, so we said, "Look, let's do this. Let's combine AI
Mhm.
along with a geospatial technology, right?" So we had to find a geospatial partner.
Okay.
We had to build 3D maps of whichever cities they wanted to achieve this. And then we used AI to identify the signal strength,
Okay.
which is required, along with a definitive deterministic algorithm on top of it. And then we used to give out the price range to the end consumer, saying that this is a price range at which probably you can quote to the end customer and
Hmm.
make your margins accordingly. So it was kind of an end to end solution. And we did this in roughly about, I think, $500,000. Okay, so this was a cool saving for them of about $5.5 million.
Wow. Okay. So that's like a revenue, if not the new revenue, it's like a cost save for them, right? So yeah, that's a big step. And like actually that reminds me, right? Even the use case you just described me, I can't stress enough in terms of the importance of the data strategy that we need to consider, right?
Right.
I'm pretty sure you would have come across many bottlenecks around it to scale or even test your model or a solution that you're building, right? And it's not a
Absolutely.
small use case that you're trying to bring in here. How did you actually manage in order to see if
Right.
your AI or ML solution is actually functioning as expected? Where did you arrange the data from? Like,
Right. So right now it's pretty easy. I mean, because there are enough data augmentation models, there is generative AI and things like that, right? So that
Mhm.
point of time, it is not like that. So we had to kind of. So what we used to do as a process, we used to say the first 2 months is going to be only understanding the data, and that's called a data exploration and um, derivative one data exploration and analysis. That used to what we used to call it, right? So all that is happening is we used to get into a big room, call all the business leaders, call our technical leaders, the data management guy, the big data guy, everybody used to call them, and we used to tell them, this is the business problem we're trying to solve. Tell us what kind of data you have. And they
Right.
used to throw Excel sheets. Somebody will give the SQL access, and somebody had to figure out, dig in the data. And for this particular problem which we had to solve, it was all remote, and we used to get data from remote servers. They used to give it remote access. All these things used to happen, and it took us about 2 months to identify about 7 data sets, which was more than 1 million data points, all of them put together. And what we had to do was we had to tell them, look, all these things need to be pipelined into a cloud server. Either you give us the cloud server, or we'll take the cloud server. So they said, for us, data security is very paramount. So we will only give you the cloud server. So they dedicated an AI cloud server, they dedicated a data server for us. And they also said that we cannot build models on our laptops
Mhm.
because of data security issues. So we had to come up with a strategy where we said, okay, fine, we will deploy AI models on the server. We will build based on data samples only. And for that, they had agreed. So we had to use statistics, a lot of it. And we used to come up with how much of data sample we need to actually build or experiment the right AI algorithm, or the AI model. So we had to collect data samples from these data sets. I think we
Mhm.
collected roughly about 100K data points, which is about 10% of the entire data set which we had. And we experimented with, I think, about 6 or 7 different AI models before we said this is the right model. And if we throw all the relevant data back to it, then I think this model will continue to work more efficiently and will retune itself. That's how we had to kind of identify the right data model and things like that. So it was a process, and the strategy was very simple: pick up a sample based on statistics and
Mhm.
make sure that the experiments are conducted
Got it.
in such a manner that you will identify the right data model that will work on the data.
Fair enough. I think it also aligns in terms of some of the pain points of the cloud strategies, also, probably you're talking about right now, right? You
Absolutely.
might the multi-cloud and the hybrid cloud and the private cloud, depending on each client. That's lot of thinking to do in the
Oh,
terms of
absolutely,
saving.
absolutely.
Yeah, so looks like that is the live data that you're trying to deal. And yeah, like I said, each client has different requirement, and you don't know which hybrid cloud strategy works for them.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
We
If
went
it,
to a retail client. He said, "Do what you want, take all the data." I'm like, "What? No data security?" He said, "No, no, don't worry. This is all just data. This is available. You can just take it. Don't worry. Build everything and give us the model and tell us what you want else." So we were like very happy with that, because that used to enable us remote work comfortably.
right, yeah, the actual pain point is taken away, so you can focus on the main problem. Yeah, yeah. Cool. So I let me also touch base on learn from your perspective here on some of the best practices of, like, let's say if you want to project some client as an AI first future for their business, right? Obviously there are early adopters, like you rightly said earlier, right? So not every organization have completely transformed, or they don't have like a right architecture to move towards the direction, right? How, what kind of a suggestion that you actually give based on the different domain challenges that you have seen in the journey?
Right. So I think the most important thing is a mindset shift that has to come top down. That is very, very critical. So there should be an inherent interest in the top management of the company to push for an AI first kind of an approach, right? Because this essentially means change management. There is a transformed way of working. You are assisted a lot by technology, which was never the case before.
Yes.
Technology was just a tool. I mean, you have a problem, you go figure out which software, which app, which browser, or what kind of technology you want to use, and you use that technology, you leverage that. But that's not the way it is right now. It is an AI first thinking. When I say AI first thinking, you are identifying the technology first before even you identify what problem you want to solve, right?
Yeah.
And that forms the base. And after that, the entire business model changes, the entire revenue model changes.
Right.
For instance, if you take the lending space, right? Generally, what happens when it comes to lending, right? There is a bank executive. Let's say, for example, you have an account in ICICI Bank. There is a bank executive who will see that you maintain great credit bills, or you have a great credit score for over 5 years. They will say, "Sir, we are offering you some home loan and things like that," and they will continuously pursue you, right? Now,
Yeah.
that's not the case with AI first thinking. With AI first thinking, it's very, very different. For example, I don't remember, but I think it is Tiger Loans or something like that. Now, what they did was they simply had a chatbot on their web space and on the website and nothing else, right? You log in as a consumer, you want a loan, you will only talk to the chatbot and nothing else. So you will say, "Hi, I'm so and so, so and so. I need a loan for 5 lakhs." Okay.
Mm.
Now the chatbot will figure out what is the exact credit score, what is your details, where in the world are you available in. So there are
Basically.
a ton of things which are happening in the background, right? You're only asked for inputs when there is a need.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it'll identify your credit score. Let's say first is identify definitely location, address, and things like that. Then it'll ask you for an identity proof. You may upload a PAN or an Aadhaar. The
Yeah.
chatbot takes care of the background verification check. It'll identify what is your credit CIBIL score, and once it does, it'll tell you, look, you're eligible for only 3 lakhs, or you're eligible for 20 lakhs, whichever way, right? And then you
Standard.
say, okay,
Other.
I'm ready to take about 3 lakhs, doesn't matter. And the chatbot will say, okay, when do you want me to disperse it? How do you want me to process it? And these are the relevant documents that you need to upload for processing. And one by one, you're uploading the documents into the chatbot. You're not uploading in any other thing. Rest everything is in the background.
Yeah.
Okay, that's an AI first model for lending, right? So people have identified, I think, I would say, very important ways to work, or very different, transformed ways to work when it comes to certain core problems. But the penetration, like you mentioned, it's very minimal. I think there is a ton of things that can happen. Many, many transformative ways of working is going to come through with this generative AI also coming in.
Correct. I think, yes, it's like made majority of the chief executive officers, they might start with a business problem. Instead, they should actually evaluate the technology solution to, maybe use case to base case, right?
Yeah,
Not exactly straightforward simple rules based engine, but what
right,
works, that is, it's going to save the cost, why not, right? You're actually optimizing your revenue model plus the business strategy. And
correct,
I think the other challenges that I could think of also is in terms of investing the talent, right?
right.
Not necessarily they have a skill set to adapt to the tech, but it requires probably like contract partnering with right parties, third parties, and eventually probably they can hire. The bottleneck here is, like you rightly said, it's the mindset, right?
No, absolutely, big
Take
time.
the first step. It holds them a lot back, I feel. Yeah.
Yeah,
And the other thing is the trust,
yeah,
right?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Whether it comes from top down in terms, and also the concerns probably they have in terms of the user adoption, right, with these bigger break even AI initiatives.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and the chatbot solution, that I think it's more about user engagement. Even in the scenario, if you could imagine one-time investment with a science person, they implement this, and they don't have to hire a person like 24 hours sit and wait response, right? So like a automated and you have your system working for it. So the customer engagement is actually improved with it, right? And a lot of optimizations around it. So this is one of the automation processes I could truly see what you have just said.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. There is an
Yeah.
important point that you brought out with respect to talent, right? Even now, what I see is somehow there is I would say, an inhibition or an innate fear to adopt AI. I think that needs to go away some way, right? Because not many companies are going to be looking for only data science people. Everybody needs to know AI in some way or the other. It
Yeah.
People may not know how to build it. People may not know how it works in the background. It doesn't need to be that, but they should know that AI can do this, and this is the way probably I need to leverage AI. That's an important aspect many people need to know, irrespective of the business function.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
For example, just for example, okay, I've been consulting for one of the organizations here, and one of the things that they're trying to do is build an L&D software
Mhm.
for upskilling their senior account executives to store managers. It's a retail organization,
Mhm.
and one of the things that they are facing issues is they're struggling with large video content. They're struggling with 100, 200 slides of information
Mhm.
for senior account executives to keep in their mind, just because they need to upskill themselves to SOAR manager. And a simple thing is just to build a custom chat GPT
Yes.
bot, which will do this exact same thing. And you
Yeah.
really don't have to worry. It's a custom chat GPT. And it's an investment of maybe 2 to 3 lakhs. That's it. You really don't have to go look for anywhere else after that.
Yeah. I think what you're rightly saying is you have to make AI accessible, and you have to have the, whether it's an enterprise customer or the medium scale business customers, they have to focus on the data and the AI democratization and
And
keep
also
it.
ensure that there is AI enabled talent across the organization. That's going to be tough.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Making it accessible to users across the organization, right? Versus a few teams of AI experts. Like you said, it need not be technical expertise, but the awareness and the
Yes,
implications of it, right?
absolutely.
And yeah, and eventually it's going to offer like self-learning tools. Why not embed right now? I think that's how
Correct.
I'm thinking. That's
Correct.
good. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, I mean, like from what I'm understanding with this conversation, like increasing the data and the AI literacy throughout the organization, ultimately it actually widens, right? The talent pool and further
Yes.
even drives more AI-enabled transformation. It's a more
Absolutely.
step-by-step approach, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you feel does it matter depending on the size of organization or the seniority in the industry domain or job function regions? Like, how do you see the still impact depending on the size of the company?
I don't think there is anything. Uh, Okay, I mean, if it's a very large organization, what happens is that there will be a lot of resistance. So I see that adoption or agility is probably much easier in smaller organizations, maybe to the size of about 10 to 20 crore, as
Correct.
against some other organizations which is probably a 500 crore, 1,000 crore companies, right? It's a matter of that agility, which is
Yeah.
I think probably the resistance, which will increase or decrease the resistance towards adopting AI.
Yeah. 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 Cool. This really helped me. I mean, would you like to share? I know you have already shared me like couple of use cases.
Mhm.
But I'm trying to understand, like in terms of your roadmap. When I went through your website, you had literally everything, all the scope of different domains and the
Mhm.
models, right? Predictive models and everything NLP covered. So
Mhm.
what I'm trying to understand is what kind of a research you're constantly doing in comparatively to other consulting AI consulting agencies in order to manage these challenges and emerging business opportunities that you can actually collaborate. So how do you actually manage this with your peer group inside building that intelligence?
I think one of the most important problems that we're trying to do is how do we get cloud AI to edge AI. When I say cloud AI to edge AI, everything right now is dependent on the cloud, right? Which essentially means data center requirements go up. There's a lot of carbon footprint. There's a lot of sustainability issues. All these things are there. When it comes to solving problems for, let us say, an ESG conscious company, right?
Yeah.
That essentially means that it has to move to edge. AI computing has to move to the edge. That's a, I think, a major problem that people are trying to solve.
Yeah.
The other probably, which is a research problem still, which people are trying to solve, is how do you analyze videos? How do you analyze
Yeah.
images? Because when it comes to security, right? When it comes to security, there are large volumes of information that needs to be processed. There are large volumes of information you need to identify anomalies, right?
Right.
Somebody's doing a fraud, somebody's doing something that's illegal and things like that. It gets very tough for, let us say, a bunch of five people looking at 30, 40 CCTV cameras to actually identify the fraud. That's extremely difficult, right? So you need to identify those kind of use cases which are probably processing large volumes of information at one go. Right now, I think the problem has been solved to an extent of processing large volumes of text in any form and small volumes of multimedia data, whether it's a video or an image and things like that. Now, how do you scale this? Scaling is always a big issue in AI.
Got it. Okay. So it's the scaling and the volume of the data and the compute need,
Yes.
right, and different
Yeah.
modalities that you're trying to address depending on the each use case. So you're actually
Correct.
researching based on diffusion models and new LLMs. Got it.
Correct.
Cool. This was really very insightful. I at least got to know the high level perspective you from your core expertise of having to lead your
Mhm.
organization, which is Mysore Consulting Group. Please
Yeah.
correct me if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but
That's
MCG, right?
yeah.
So it's good for all viewers if you're watching this video. Today I'm with Abhiram. He's a CEO of MCG Group, and he's really given me quite a bit of insights around different probabilistic way of achieving automated solutions for different advanced data science
Mm.
based approaches, right? So whether you're from scientific community or you're from passionate engineer background or you're a regular business based client, I think you know whom to contact. So cool. Cool. Anything else you want to say, Abhiram, before we wind up? But this was very insightful. Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Thank you so much. Nice talking.